Hi guys, welcome to my channel, and in today's video we are going to be preparing beans and plantain, my favorite. So before I boil my beans, I always remove any stones, shells, because sometimes when you buy beans in the packet there are like small creatures, there's shells. When you open the shells there's most times beans inside, so I always check before I boil my beans. As you can see here, I'm actually removing some of the shells from the amount that I took out. There's also stones in there. There's sometimes like small creatures. So yeah, as you can see, this is the amount that I've actually taken out. What you don't want to do is be chewing on stones. When you're enjoying your food, then you're chewing on stones and shells. So this is the amount that I was able to take out. So I'm just checking it again just to make sure that there's nothing there, because like I said, we you know, don't want to be chewing on stones. Um, so now I'm washing it. I normally wash it like twice, and then I'll now place it in the pot. Now, whenever I boil my beans, I always put some onions in there, and it's not just the beans. I do that for also for my chicken. Basically, anything that I cook, I put onions, apart from rice, of course, um, just so that it's got this nice onions kind of smell, flavor. That's just, that's just me. That's just how I do things. As you can see, also these are all the ingredients that I will be putting in my beans. That Maggi is probably what equivalent to one. I don't put a lot of Maggi. That's my blended pepper and onions. My crayfish, the same with my crayfish, I always pick it because sometimes you see strings in there. You see all sorts of things in there sometimes, especially the ones that are coming from back home. They're the ones you need to be careful of because, yeah. And then that's my red oil. I'm not going to use all that red oil, by the way. So now I am putting in my blended pepper and onions. And yes, it's just pepper and onions, nothing else in there, just pepper and onions. I don't like to use a lot of seasoning for my food. I don't know, even crayfish. I see some people putting so much crayfish inside their soups or vegetables, but I don't put a lot of crayfish. I just put a little, because I'm also going to be putting Maggi and a bit of salt. So now I'm going to be adding my red oil. Like I said earlier, I'm not going to be putting all the red oil. Um, I like to take out a lot of oil just in case I need to add a bit more. So even with the red oil, I don't use a lot of red oil. Uh, Too much red oil is not healthy for you. So I try my best not to put too much oil, um, red oil, in my soups or my stews. Even if I do put a lot, I think it's just so that in case I need more, I don't use one that hasn't been cooked already. So if it's already been cooked, then I can just use the one that's already been cooked, if you know what I mean. Um, so I'll just use a little bit of it and add. So now I'm adding my Maggi cubes. So like I said again, I don't use a lot of seasoning in my food. I don't use a lot of Maggi. I prefer to use the small cubes just um in case. I mean, in case I just need one or two. So I prefer using the small so I don't waste them. Most times two is okay for me. So now I'm putting in my crayfish. Again, whenever I get crayfish from back home, Nigeria, well, whenever I get crayfish from Nigeria, it always comes with bits in it. If it's not one string like this, it's stones or it's something in it that shouldn't be in it. So I always take my time and remove all the bits that I'm not going to be putting in my soups or my stews. Or I use the sieve and sieve it out. So yeah, again, I don't use a lot of crayfish in my soups or stews just because. I'm going to be adding other ingredients like salt and Maggi and all of that. So I use a lot of, I use small amounts of salt again in my soups just because I use crayfish and I use other ingredients. So I try not to use a lot of different spices. It's just a little because they're all coming together. And so there's no point in me using a lot of salt, a lot of Maggi. There are people that use so much different seasonings for their soups. And then I add black pepper as well. Um, I like black pepper. I put black pepper in everything, literally everything that I eat, apart from rice. But if I'm making tuna stew, I'm making mayonnaise, was it egg mayonnaise? I always put black pepper in it. I like the taste of black pepper. Yes, I love it so much. I prefer black pepper than white pepper. Yeah. Um, so here's me now checking to see if the beans is cooked because there are some beans that are very, very, very stubborn. You boil and boil and boil, and it will still be hard. But in this case, it was cooked. It was nice and soft. So now I've put in my plantain. I'm only using a small amount of plantain because the beans is not much. So there's no need for me to pack plantain inside when it's just small amounts of beans that I'm cooking. And again, it's just for the sweetness because I like this. I love plantain, so I like, you know, I like it to be sweet. That's why I've added some plantain. My beans is now ready to be eaten. The thing I love about beans is that you can eat it with rice, you can eat it with bread, or you can eat it on its own. I mean, this will go nicely with agege bread because that's what I eat it with sometimes, or I eat it with rice. Um, so I hope you enjoyed watching my video. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. I will see you in my next video. Bye.